Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Zina. I'm a business consultant and I specialize in restaurants and retail stores. So in today's episode, it's my first video as well. I wanted to talk about the 8 lessons that I learned about being a business owner at 22. It's been quite a journey, so I just wanted to get into it and express my thoughts, express my experience, and then, I don't know, maybe it could teach someone something. It's been quite interesting, so here's what I learned. 1. Isolation. I think isolation was one of the things that I struggled with most, just because I was not surrounded by people who were also opening their own businesses. All of my friends have 9-to-5s or other corporate jobs, which made it that I found myself pretty alone in this journey of figuring out what it is that I wanted to do and how to do the things that I wanted to do. So it can be quite isolating. But also in parallel to that, I spend most of my time working from my desk right here. I don't know if you can see it, but I spend most of my time working from home, which led to this feeling of being completely isolated from other people. My solution for that, honestly, was just working in a coffee shop or going to common workspaces. This was something I hadn't really expected, but it was definitely part of the journey, I think. I don't feel like a lot of people talk about it, but I definitely felt this sense of isolation. Number 2, motivation versus discipline. When I first decided to quit my job to start my own business, I was extremely motivated and I just wanted to do everything all at once. But when I had quit my job, gradually I started losing motivation. Not because I lost interest in what I wanted to do, but because I felt so overwhelmed by the consequences of being a business owner that in the end, it's just like my motivation faded away. And what I had to do was create a routine. I had to be disciplined enough to wake up in the morning and have a schedule outlined so that I know what I had to do. I know that right now a lot of people are talking about like motivation versus discipline. It's very true, motivation does go away, but discipline stays. And discipline was something that I had to learn the hard way. But I learned it, and now here I am. Number 3, find a business partner. It took me a while to accept the fact that I had to find a business partner, because in my head, I believe that no one else is going to be as interested in my company as I'm going to be. However, there's a saying in Arabic that I really like, and it's basically إيد لوحدها ما بتزقف. And the direct translation to that is a hand by itself does not clap, which is fair enough. It's pretty true. I think finding a business partner is really crucial to any business, so that first you get to split the weight. And I'm not talking about like finances, about someone funding it with you, but I'm just saying in terms of responsibilities, you could already divide the work a bit more reasonably, I would say. And then on the other hand as well, when you're spending so much time by yourself, which takes me to my first point, when you spend a lot of time by yourself, you sometimes lose sense of what it is that you're doing. It's like when you're editing the same thing over and over again, so like you stop spotting the mistakes and then you just need an external perspective to tell you what's wrong. So it's kind of the same thing. So having a business partner with the same values as you and with the same interests as well is super beneficial to your business. You can bounce ideas back and forth, you can work with someone in person, and you guys are able to pick up each other's weight, which makes things so much easier. And this takes me to my 4th point actually, which is hire specialists. Same thing. When I first started, I didn't want to hire anyone because I wanted to master every single aspect of my business. But I quickly realized that it's absolutely not realistic or feasible, just simply because I can't possibly be a specialist in every single thing that I do, right? So I specialize in specific things. In my case, for example, I specialize in marketing specifically for retail stores and restaurants. I do understand other aspects like financial management and business growth. But when it comes to things such as like operations or automation or I don't know, like financial auditing, It's absolutely not my field. So my mindset was I wanted to learn about everything, which, to be fair, I still stand by. I really do think that any business owner should know more or less the ins and outs of the industries and the different services that they're offering. However, hire specialists because it's just going to be a headache to do everything yourself. You need to find people to do the work with you. My approach is to hire people on a project basis. So I have a pool of talent that I reach out to every time I get a new client, and I tell them about the project. If they're interested, I'll pay them for that project specifically. I found that unless I have this multi-million-dollar company and I can afford to pay people proper good salaries for a full-time job, then I'm not gonna go in that route. I would rather just hire contractors and pay them an adequate amount for that project, and then I would lower my overhead as well, right? So this would definitely be one of the lessons that I learned, which is hire specialists. Don't cheap out, and don't be afraid to hire people. It's okay if you can't do everything by yourself. Number 5, perfectionism kills your business. This was the hardest lesson that I had to learn out of every other lesson that I've learned. Perfectionism is going to destroy your business. I'm a perfectionist, and there are a lot of things that I refuse to put out. I think this episode included. I'm really trying to force myself out of my comfort zone. But when you're a perfectionist, it delays everything that you want to do because you're going to keep on reworking the same thing over and over again. And then you'll find that, a few months have passed and you haven't done anything. You haven't published anything, you haven't released anything. In my case, I've worked and reworked my digital products and my website so many times that it took so much time for me to actually sit down, set up a camera, set up a light, set up a microphone, and then just sit down and talk. There's no such thing as perfectionism. No matter how much you think you have the idea of what something is perfect to you, it's not real. There's no such thing as perfection. You will always find things to improve. So it's okay, just start. And then as you go, it's gonna grow with you. Number 6, take control of your time. I think the majority of business owners or entrepreneurs would say that part of the reason why they decided to start this journey is to have more control over their lives. It's to achieve freedom, whether it's financial or time-wise. And in my case, my time is super sacred to me. It's really important to me. I like spending my time wisely, and I don't like wasting it on random stuff. And it was actually the reason why I ended up quitting my job. Although it gave me a certain kind of stability, I could afford a certain lifestyle because of the job that I had. But my time was so much more valuable than to go to work every morning hating what I needed to do, spending 8-9 hours there, coming back home being super tired and depressed about it. So take control of your time. Kind of the interesting lesson that I learned here is that when you're your own boss, you'll go through episodes, it's gonna fluctuate. You're not always gonna be fully invested, fully ready to sit behind your desk for 9 hours, working all day long. Some days you're literally just not gonna wanna do anything. And that's kind of the beauty of being a business owner. However, on the other hand, and this was also something that I experienced, is that I would spend abnormal amounts of hours working. I turned into a full-blown workaholic because I would work 12, 13, 14, 15 hours a day, just sitting behind my desk all day long, looking at a screen. At some point, my eyes they gave out, could not deal with it anymore. And it led to a pretty bad burnout, actually. And this was just because I refused to take control of my time, and I refused to be fair with it as well. So this was definitely one of the lessons that I learned. Take it easy, but at the same time not too easy, but at the same time don't burn yourself out. So there's that. Number 7, I think. It's kind of a funny one, but coffee versus tea. I've been a coffee drinker from the age of 14, I think, and I've always loved coffee. I worked in coffee shops just to be around coffee. I'd wake up, drink 2, 3, 4 cups. I think it's due to age more than anything else. I mean, I know I'm still pretty young, I'm just 22, but what ended up happening is that one day, coffee became my worst nightmare, and it took so long for me to accept and then also realize that it was coffee. What would happen is I'd wake up in the morning, do the exact same routine I've done for literally the past like 5-6 years, and what happened is I would shut down immediately. So like I'd wake up, do my thing, have my cup of coffee, and 2 hours into my workday, I would physically crash so badly that I would need to leave my desk and go nap for literally another 6 hours after having slept for 9 hours. So like it wasn't going well for me, and it became a really stressful it became super stressful because I couldn't get anything done, because all I was doing was just I was drinking coffee and being tired, and it didn't add up, and I couldn't deal with it anymore. So I started cutting things out of my diet until I unfortunately, and genuinely it makes me sad, I reached coffee, and I had to cut out coffee to see what would happen. And as sad as it is to admit it, it changed my life. It makes me so sad to say that, but it really did change my life. I ended up replacing coffee with a cup of green tea in the morning. Life-changing. I don't think I've ever had this much good energy and focus in my life. It's been so good, it's been so great, and although I miss it really badly, and like to be very fair, I have my cup of coffee right here, but it's decaf coffee. But definitely cutting out, I mean, it's a very personal thing as well, but I would say definitely cutting out coffee and replacing it with tea, life-changing. And finally, lesson number 8. It might sound cringy to a few. It sounded so cringy to me at first until I kind of reached a point where I had no alternative, and then I had to think about it in that way. But lesson number 8 is mindset. That's it. So when I first started my business, I just had the idea of like opening a business optimization consultancy firm, and I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people. I wanted to realign them with their goals, to get them from one place to another in a like short amount of time, to cater to an audience that not a lot of people cater to. And I had this entire idea in mind, right? But in the end, a few months into it, I realized that I was absolutely not getting the outcome that I wanted at all. And so I had to question myself, and I had to sit down and assess what it is that I'm actually doing versus what it is that I think I'm doing. Changing my mindset completely rerouted how I was going and the direction that I was headed towards. And what ended up happening is I started almost like manifesting a different life. I mean, it's such a stupid example, but just like sitting in front of a camera talking, this is the first video I've ever done in my life. I'm always behind the camera. I'm never in front of it. But in my head, I'm like, yeah, like I'll manage to market my company by posting paid ads, by doing cool graphics, by whatever. But deep down, I fully knew that there were other actions that I needed to take, and I needed to believe that I was gonna make it work and not just like hope for the best. So it took a while. It took reading a lot of books and then listening to a lot of podcasts as well. But I managed to reach that point where I'm like, okay, this is what I have to do. I'm gonna hold myself accountable if it doesn't happen. There's no one else to blame if it fails. I have all the resources and all the space to figure it out and to make it work. I just have to do it. So definitely lesson number 8 is you are gonna be your own best friend, your own partner, and your own enemy at the same time. And holding yourself accountable is gonna be the only thing that's gonna actually get you somewhere, because no one else is gonna hold you accountable for you not doing what you have to do, right? I mean, it's your choice, it's your business. So if you don't take the step to put yourself out there, to start, just start. This would be like lesson number 9, but I'm just gonna stick with 8 lessons. Although lesson number 9, start, just start, stop overthinking it and just do it. But I would definitely say that lesson number 8, you have to have a clean, healthy, good, and I'm not saying like healthy as in no bad moments or whatever, but I'm just saying like when it comes to your work, you have to believe that you can do it and that you can achieve it. And honestly, the way that my entire mood shifted, and like going back to my second point, which is like motivation versus discipline, by shifting my mindset, I started regaining my motivation to work more and to do better for myself. So I would definitely say that this is a lesson that I learned. So this is what I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it shed a bit of light on my personal experience. If you're interested to know a bit more about my company, I'll leave the link in the description. If you also want to book a one-on-one consultation with me to discuss your business needs, I'll also leave it in the description. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.